The Witcher 4 game director and narrative director have responded to the trailer backlash and criticism that the game is receiving, specifically because they chose to make Ciri the main protagonist, and more importantly, they made her a Witcher. And we've already seen in previous interviews that they have said that she has already actually taken the trial of the grasses and become a full-fledged Witcher. She is now a mutant, although they haven't explained exactly how she was able to do so. Wrote this up over at phantompulse.com. Head on over, become a paid subscriber, help support us in our fight against woke ideology. We put a spotlight on a lot of this woke stuff and actively work to root it out of the video game industry. We are fully reader funded, so we would appreciate your support. It only costs $5 less than a Starbucks coffee. So narrative director Philip Weber and game director Sebastian Columba did an interview with Eurogamer, and they were specifically asked about the backlash the game is receiving after it was revealed that Ciri would be the main protagonist. And this is what narrative director Philip Weber answered. I think there's many very valid worries and responses because I think a lot of them come out of passion. And I think a lot of those questions are also questions that we asked ourselves. So we really, again, say that we are beholden to the lore, the canon of the books by Andrzej Sapkowski, the 3 previous Witcher games, and we want to take that seriously, and we really want to respect that. So all the answers we basically want to give in The Witcher 4 are in line with this attitude. We're not suddenly making up stuff just because we want to. We really want to take these things seriously. So I think this sounds absolutely excellent. Sounds like they're being beholden to the lore, the canon of the books, and the 3 previous Witcher games. However, let's keep this in mind as we get further down into this interview and the responses that they give, because I think he's going to get caught in some contradictions here. Anyway, he continues. So I can really understand if some people, might have wished to play another game with Geralt. Like I can say myself, I could make games about Geralt until the day I die, and I would probably die happy. Well, isn't that interesting? Well, then why aren't you making games about Geralt? Why not? Why are you not still making games about Geralt? If you literally know that's what a lot of people probably want, but you've chosen not to. Well, why? Why did you choose? Why did you choose not to continue making games with Geralt? He goes on and says, but I think for me, and I think for all of us at CD Projekt Red, it's also just really exciting to see all the opportunities that Ciri brings us, both with her character and also by just virtue of who she is, what we can do with her in terms of the gameplay as well. So I think the best answer for us, for those people that really are worried right now, is basically to show them when we are ready that we really do this well and with care. And I hope we can then convince them with the game itself, because I think actions speak louder than words. I 100% agree. And so far, your actions have all been red flags. DI agenda, all-female internship, no men can apply. You've got your CEO going out lying about Endymion and what your company does, saying that you hire on merit when you clearly don't, because you have all of the DEI agendas. You've got people defending Sweet Baby Inc. that work for your company. You've got people bowing to Sweet Baby Inc. after they did indeed agree with gamers, and then they immediately issuing apologies, bending the knee. A lot of bad actions coming out of CD Projekt Red. You're hiring people like Mary Kinney to work on your upcoming Cyberpunk game, who said that every lever must be pulled to push the gay agenda. You've got people like Kyan Marr as your franchise and lore designer, wants to punch gamers. Covered that yesterday. So your actions are speaking very loud. Your actions are speaking very loud, and they're all red flags at this point. And even here, you admit that you wanted to play Geralt, but you've chosen to pick Ciri, and you claim because of her character and the gameplay options. But you can't show any of that to us yet. Which is kind of weird, right? You talk about actions speaking louder than words, but you haven't shown us anything with that, right? This is how Columba answered that question. Yeah, well said. And on top of that, just please remember that we are also not only developers, but we are also gamers, right? And, we've started with the second protagonist already in the Wild Hunt, and so there was already a tease. So we really are all about making sure such calls are very educated calls. And we really believe, as Philip already said, that we also have so much of a great story to tell with Ciri, and she deserves that. I mean, they're clearly going to just be making up the story. I don't think they're going to be following any kind of source material. And maybe that's really why they wanted to choose Ciri, is because they can just write whatever they want and not actually have to be beholden to the lore, the canon of the books, or their 3 previous Witcher games, right? I mean, we see that all the time from these Hollywood people. Just listen to what the Rings of Power people say. We're going to write the book that Tolkien never wrote, as they're adapting storylines from Silmarillion, which, sure, it wasn't published when he was alive, but it was published by his son, Christopher, edited by him. He had clearly written it, talks about it in multiple letters, but they thought they could do it better. So this might sound nice, like especially this first paragraph here in his answer. But I think he kind of undermines himself, where he literally admits, like, people clearly wanted to play Geralt. We recognize that. I even wanted to play Geralt. But, we went with Ciri anyways because of all these things, but we can't really show any of that to you or talk about it. Let's continue here. There was another question earlier in the interview when they were asked how they would approach the various endings from The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, specifically the ones where Ciri does not become a Witcher, given the fact that she's clearly a Witcher now. Remember, what do you say? Beholden to the lore, the canon of the books, and the 3 previous Witcher games. The last game had multiple endings, depending on how you played. And 2 of the main endings for Ciri are that she does not become a Witcher. She becomes the Empress, or she dies, or at the very least, disappears. This is what Weber said in answer to this question about those endings. So we can't say yet how exactly we're going to handle it. This is something that we want to reveal later. What I can say is that we really want to respect everything that came before, that being the books by Andrzej Sapkowski and all 3 Witcher games. And that, of course, should also include some of the most important choices the player made there. But exactly how we, reveal how we handle all of these things, this will be part of the story that we tell in Polaris. So I think that we have to talk about how we do it a little bit later. Just kicking the can down the road. Just not answering the question, basically. Says a lot. He says a lot here without any substance. We can't tell you, but we're going to be respectful. Well, how? If she is a Witcher, she's gone through the trial of grasses, which you've said in previous interviews. How does that stay true to the previous game if you had the ending where she becomes the Empress, or she dies, or at the very least disappears? And this is probably the biggest red flag right here. Weber justified the fact that Ciri is a Witcher, given she's described as a Witcher in the books. When asked if Sapkowski approves of Ciri being a Witcher, Weber said this: I mean, I can actually give you a very good answer, because it's the answer that Andrzej Sapkowski usually gives. The answer is in the books. And in the books, Andrzej Sapkowski called Ciri a Witcher multiple times, and Geralt called Ciri a Witcher in the books too. So I think that basically says what Andrzej Sapkowski thinks about the topic. So this is a very deceptive answer, because if you go through the books, and I didn't go through all of them, I did go through Blood of Elves though, and Ciri is described as a Witcher. But the context matters, right? She's described as a Witcher when Triss arrives at Kaer Morhen and sees what she believes is a young male Witcher in training. She just sees her from afar. The young Ciri also describes herself as a Witcher when she goes to aid Triss after Triss kind of fell down while chasing her. However, Ciri is not a Witcher and does not become a Witcher, and is instead whisked away from Kaer Morhen by Triss and Geralt. The book says this. Sapkowski wrote this. The green eyes of the little Witcher girl betrayed no signs of mutation, and the touch of her little hand did not produce the slight, pleasant tingling sensation so characteristic of Witchers. Although she ran the killer path with a sword slung across her back, the ashen-haired girl had not been subjected to the trial grasses or to changes. Of that, Triss was certain. So you can see that, yes, they were referring to Ciri as a Witcher girl, but she's not actually a Witcher. Here's another example. The ash blonde girl who here in Kaer Morhen, they want to turn into a Witcher, a real Witcher, a mutant, a killing machine like themselves. They want to mutate the child, subject her to the trial of grasses and changes, but they don't know how to do it. So clearly showing that she is not a Witcher and she had not been subjected to the trial of grasses. And then we even get this from Triss in the book. Ciri must not be allowed to grow wild. She has to have contact with the world, with her peers. She has to be decently educated and prepared for a normal life. Let her wave her sword about for the time being. You won't turn her into a Witcher without mutation anyway, but having a Witcher's training won't harm her. So becoming a Witcher requires going through the trial of grasses and the mutation. It doesn't just mean you get the training with the swordplay and the fencing. We can go elsewhere in the book too. There's a dwarf named Yarpen Zigrin, calls her a Witcher girl. However, this is after she's left Kaer Morhen with Triss and Geralt. She also did not undergo the mutations to turn into a Witcher, which I think we've kind of gone over that. And I think he's calling her a Witcher girl because she's literally carrying the sword. She's dressed like a Witcher. She's traveling with Geralt and Triss, and Geralt obviously being the Witcher. Yennefer would also refer to her as a Witcher girl, but she did so derogatorily. She says this: furious as a cat, sparks in her eyes, just wait and she'll hiss, and if she could flatten her ears, she would. A Witcher girl. I'll have to take her firmly in hand, file her claws. So clearly noting that she had been kind of trained by the Witchers, and she got all of these kind of what she views as bad habits from training with all of them at Kaer Morhen. Also, interestingly enough, showing that children need both a father and a mother. Ciri would also claim she was destined to be a Witcher while training under Yennefer. She says, I'm destined for Geralt. I'm destined to be a Witcher. I've only come here for a short period. I'm going back to Kaer Morhen soon. Obviously, the words of a child. So those are some of the examples of how this guy is justifying Ciri being a Witcher and saying she's called a Witcher, but she's not a Witcher. She's called Witcher girl, and Triss thinks that she's a Witcher when she first sees her. But it's very clear that she's not. It's just being used as a descriptive because she's traveling with Geralt and had been trained by the Witchers of Kaer Morhen for a significant period of time. And that is why she's being called a Witcher. It's not because she actually is a Witcher. It's made very clear she's not a Witcher. So them saying they're being true to the books, true to the games, beholden to the lore, I don't believe them, because this is how they're justifying her being a Witcher, is already twisting and warping what the books and the lore says. So I think this guy's straight up lying. I think this Philip Weber guy is just straight up lying when he says this. I think this is all PR speak, and it's trying to dupe people into thinking that's what they're going to actually do, when he literally contradicts himself right here. And interestingly enough, doesn't provide any of the context of how she is called Witcher in the books. Which is deceptive as well. But that is what they had to say in response to the trailer Backlash and the criticism. I don't think they really kind of lessened any of the fears, brought down any of the red flags. In fact, I think they've just increased the fears, raised more red flags. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always, always speak the truth.